It's another beautiful night for baseball at Target Field. Game 2 between the Twins and the Seattle Mariners. The Twins hoping to get in the win column here tonight. We thought Felix Hernandez would pitch a good ball game against the Twins. We did not know that Liam Hendriks was going to match him pitch for pitch until the Mariners got their home run from Eric Thames that gave them a 1-0 lead and a 1-0 victory in the opening game of the 4-game series. And welcome again to Target Field. Roy Smalley filling in for Bert Blyleven. Bert will be with us again tomorrow night. Scott Diamond making the start for the Minnesota Twins. In his last start, of course, he was kicked out of the game early, handed a 6-game suspension, but because he has appealed that suspension, he will continue to pitch and take his turn. That was the pitch that cost Scott the rest of that ball game. And right now, according to Major League Baseball, 6 games, a fine. And so until that appeal is heard and ruled on in New York, Diamond will be able to continue to make his starts for the Minnesota Twins. And with that in mind, he'll make his start here tonight. And Roy Smalley, Scott Diamond hasn't been quite as sharp over his last 5 starts as we saw most of the summer.
Yeah, isn't that a shame? Scott Diamond in 4 out of 5 quality starts and a 3.5 ERA, and we're wondering if everything's okay. Well, everything's okay with Scott Diamond. A few more hits per innings, a little higher batting average against, as you saw in those stats. But Scott Diamond is still the pitcher that has surprised us all season long. He's got 4 quality pitches that he's thrown over for strikes at any count, at any time, to any hitter, and that really has placed him in such good stead among the good young pitchers in the league, no question.
Well, the Twins have not fared well against the Seattle Mariners. They've played the Mariners 7 times. They've scored 11 runs. They've only faced Felix Hernandez twice in the season series. They saw their first look at this guy in Seattle a couple weeks ago.
Iwakuma, pretty interesting guy. You see that ball diving low and away the strike zone. He's got a nice little changeup and a pretty good biting curve to go with a decent straight fastball like we see right there. He's around the plate. He's got 3 pitches. Again, those are the kind of components that will give you a chance in the big leagues if you throw it over. The book on Iwakuma, if you get a men on base, things start to unravel a little bit. So the Twins are going to try to put as many guys on any way they can and try to get to him tonight.
Iwakuma will go against Scott Diamond. Darren Mastroianni's in the starting lineup for the Twins, and he is the subject of Twitter Tuesday when we come back. Sports North is brought to you by your local Northland Ford dealers. Visit your local Northland Ford dealer or go to northlandford.com. And by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards.
Twins and the Mariners getting set for baseball in downtown Minneapolis. Denard Span a late scratch. Darren Mastroianni will be in the lineup, and he will be batting second. He was also the subject of our Twitter Tuesday interview. And one of the questions regarded his best memory so far as a baseball player here with the Minnesota Twins.
It would probably have to be my first big league hit, the 2 RBI single through the middle off the Blue Jays when I was up here, the second day up here with the Twins. Something I'll never forget, and it was in a big situation when we put us ahead and kind of helped us win the game. So that was definitely my most memorable moment.
Followed that up by wondering if maybe his first home run was up there, and he said it absolutely was, but it came in a blowout loss and wanted to make more of a contribution to a victory. He'll be on the bases tonight, hopefully for Minnesota, trying to get some offense going in support of Scott Diamond, who goes for his team-leading 11th victory of the season. He takes the ball. We have first pitch from Target Field coming up next.
Joe Mauer will be his catcher tonight as the Twins hope to even this series at a game apiece and a break their hex that the Mariners have shown against the Twins this year. Twins have won just once so far. Here's the Seattle Menards batting order. Dustin Ackley, Franklin Gutierrez, Kyle Seager, Jesus Montero, Justin Smoke, Miguel Olivo, Eric Thames, Trayvon Robinson, and Brendan Ryan.
And Scott Diamond on the mound for the Twins. 4 real good pitches. The young man has really made a name for himself as a rookie pitcher this year. He'll try to keep it going tonight.
The defense behind Diamond, and we know Diamond relies on his defense. Willingham in left, Revere in center, Mastroianni in right. Blue Florimo and Carol Morno expect to be kept busy with Diamond getting a lot of ground ball double plays, and Mauer, of course, will do the catching. Denard Span was in the original starting lineup. He scratched himself, taking himself out of the lineup. Revere moved over to center. Mastroianni inserted into right. And Denard complaining of a sore shoulder, the thing that nearly put him on the disabled list during most of the last road trip. So Diamond will be looking for win number 11. He made a start against Seattle back on the 18th of the month. Pitched well, but of course the Twins weren't scoring many runs. He left the game when it was tied at 2. Gave up 9 hits, 2 earned runs in 6 2/3 innings. Won the last blast of summer, I guess, at the end of August. Gorgeous weather. They're saying, though, that the temperatures for the day game here on Thursday will approach 100 degrees. Strike one on the outside corner to Dustin Ackley. He'll be followed by Franklin Gutierrez and Kyle Seager. That's hit to left. Coming in is Willingham. Makes the catch. 1-0.
The GMC keys to the game are Scott Diamond's keys tonight. Get that early season Diamond command back. And by that I mean not only command the strike zone, but command the perimeters of the strike zone with all 4 of your pitches. Kind of funny to be talking about getting his command back when he had 4 quality starts out of his last 5 and a 3.5 earned run average, and it raised his ERA. We're all a little worried about him.
Bounce to short. Florimon scoops it up. Gutierrez quickly retired. 3 pitches, 2 outs so far for Diamond.
And so far so good with getting that command back. And this is just classic Scott Diamond. He will throw 4 pitches, as I've said, for strikes at any count to any hitter, and that's really the key to pitching in the major leagues. 2 subtle things that he brought to this year that he did not have last year. He came up with a little cut fastball, which has really helped him. We just saw Ackley hit the ball at the end of the bat on that cut fastball out to left field. It will also get in on right-hand hitters, running in on them, and that opens up the outside part of the plate. There it is again. That when he wants to hit the outside corner against left-handers, he'll cut it just a little bit. That means it will run. He'll put a little more pressure on the middle finger of his grip on the ball, and it'll run away from left-handers. And that has really been an effective pitch.
A little bit low, 1-1. Seager leading the Mariners in home runs and runs batted in. Fouled away. 1-2. You know, Diamond's pitched well. It's just in August he's had 2 starts abbreviated prematurely. His start against the White Sox, he was sailing into the 8th inning and was fully prepared, I'm sure, to at least complete 8 innings, but he got hit by a line drive and came out of the game. And then his last start, of course, 2 1/3 innings, threw the pitch over Hamilton's head and he was kicked out. But there's nothing about the rest of the month of August that would suggest any fatigue, any issues, other than maybe a few more hits allowed. But I mean, that kind of, he's a contact pitcher. Those totals ebb and flow throughout a guy's career, don't they?
They absolutely do.
And there's a base hit. Seager just stuck the bat out with 2 strikes and poked it into center field.
He's going to give up some hits. Scott Diamond is around the plate all the time, and that's conducive to giving up some base hits because he's pitching to contact. Guys are ready to swing, and they'll put the ball in play. And sometimes you go through streaks where the ball finds holes more than it does other times. But for the most part, a guy like Scott Diamond is going to have fewer streaks where the balls are finding holes. And for the most part, he's going to keep the damage to a minimum. So you can see him giving up a 307 batting average in his last 5 starts, but only a 3.5 ERA.
Chopped foul by Montero.
So that's an indication of keeping the damage to the minimum, even though he's given up some hits. And he doesn't. And the most important thing, he's not walking anybody to compound the problem with a few extra hits.
130 1/3 innings coming into play today. 20 walks, which is Radke-like in terms of stinginess. Squirted. Backhanded by Morneau. 10 pitches, 4 batters faced, 3 of them retired, and perhaps 3 cracked bats. this team can still put together a strong finish to a disappointing 2012 season. The Menards batting order has Revere on top, followed by Mastroianni, Mauer, Willingham, Morneau, and Domet, Plouffe, Carroll, and Florimone.
And Hisashi Iwakuma came up this year. He's another rookie with a pretty good arm and pretty good stuff. Pitched a real good ball game against the Twins in Seattle. He's got a nice little sneaky fastball, a good curve, and a very good changeup, or as they say in Japan, shuto.
Is that right? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, that's it. I could not hit a changeup in any language. That's how I know what they call it.
Here's Revere, then Mastroianni and Mauer.
Cambio.
Pitches up, ball one. Well, perhaps the Twins will be helped having seen Iwakuma before.
Well, let me just tell you something. There was nothing in the old days when we were playing doubleheaders on Sunday. There was nothing like a doubleheader to make Monday night's single night game feel like a piece of cake. There is nothing like seeing Felix Hernandez to make the next guy seem really comfortable.
Drifts outside, 2-1. Iwakuma did pitch well against the Twins in Seattle. Started the year in the bullpen, moved into the rotation. He's been very good in that role. I don't know how many baseball fans remember the Eddie Feigner, the king in his court. Well, the Mariners have something similar going with their rotation. They've got the king, but the supporting cast is pretty good too.
The court's getting pretty good, aren't they? Definitely.
3-1 to Revere. And a 5-pitch walk puts Revere aboard. And every walk that Revere draws should draw a smile from both Joe Vavra and Ron Gardenhire. The Mariners out in the field have some speed across the outfield with Robinson, Gutierrez, and Thames. Seager, Ryan, Ackley, and Smoke, the infielders, with Olivo doing the catching tonight.
You make a great point about Ben Revere. I was just going to say that he has taken more pitches in the last 2-3 weeks, I think, than he has in the last 2 or 3 years. Really getting comfortable as a big league hitter, working counts better, taking more pitches. Really looks good.
Just outside, ball one to Mastroianni, and Olivo will go to the mound. Did you ever, I remember you hitting anywhere from 2 through 6 in a Twins line. Did you ever hit leadoff?
I hit leadoff, I think just once or twice for Gene Mauch, but my most memorable leadoff appearance, I led off in the 1979 All-Star game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Bob Lem was the manager. He had me leading off. George Brett hitting behind me and hit number 2, and then a whole bunch of thunder after that too.
How'd you get anything to hit with those guys hitting behind you? 1-0 to Mastroianni.
Hitting against Steve Carlton, it didn't matter who was hitting. He was awful to everybody.
Revere very aggressive on the bases. That's one thing that has been apparent as we see Span in the leadoff spot most of the time, and then Revere with the odd leadoff start for the Twins, and whether he's hitting first or second, when Revere gets to first, he very aggressively tries to find a way to get to second. There's a strike on the outside corner for Revere. 30 steals in 37 tries. For Span, 14 steals in 20 tries.
Much different mindset between those two guys. This young man right here wants to run. He likes to do it, and so does the guy hitting behind him tonight, Mastroianni. Those are two guys that look to run the bases.
Well, the Twins very patient so far. Revere never swung at any of the 5 pitches he saw. I know Mastroianni's taken 3. 8 pitches, 2 strikes for Iwakuma. He got an early 3-0 lead against the Twins, and he threw 4 perfect innings to get his night started against Minnesota. Two and 1 to Mastroianni. Lifted foul. First swing is almost a half swing by Mastroianni. Just made contact. 2-2.
think manager Ron Gardner actually has an awful lot of confidence in Darren Mastriani. He doesn't mind running him out there. He's a good fourth outfielder. He's a pretty good contact hitter, runs like crazy, as we said, very fast, very accomplished base stealer and base runner. Should put the ball in play.
Up the middle, hits the mound, and it'll be a double play. Mastroianni spanked it hard. It hit either the mound or the rubber and bounced straight to the shortstop to start a double play.
Good swing by Mastroianni. Gets a fastball, drills it right back through the middle, but the mound just kills it. Pops right up to the shortstop for an easy double play. That's too bad. That's all you can do as a hitter, is hit the ball hard someplace. You can't guide it.
Still on any of those replays, unsure what it might have hit. It almost looked like it might have hit the rubber itself. So 2 down, base is empty, and here's Mauer. Up and away, ball 1. Deep to the left field corner. Robinson now towards the line, leaps and makes a foul ball catch. So the Twins send just 3 men to the plate in the first.
We're about to try a chocolate peanut butter cup pup. It's a Belgian waffle on a stick with peanut butter cups melted inside. Then the waffle's dipped in chocolate and covered in whipped cream. And I think it might be my new favorite. Give it a try. Holy cow. Love it. Just so good. They're so good.
The amazing thing about all the stuff we've seen, Martin, it's all nutritious. It's all good for you.
Every calorie.
All 1,500 of them. Well, Scott Diamond had a very quick first inning. Gave up a base hit, got through the first inning on just 10 pitches. He'll face Justin Smoke, Miguel Olivo, and Eric Thames. Smoke takes a strike over the inside corner. Smoke hit a home run against Diamond in Seattle. One of his 14 on the year. Down and away. Smoke a switch hitter and not hitting much from either side in terms of batting average. 202 from the right side, 190 from the left side. And we are talking about 400 at bats now. This isn't 125 at bats or anything like that. Can't write it off as a slow start anymore. And this guy's been around for a while and at some point, Justin Smoak's going to be at a pretty major crossroads in his career, and I don't know whether it is this year, next year, or when, but he's going to have to prove he can hit.
Well, if he's not at the crossroads right now, he's within the exit ramp over there.
Again, hit right off the end of the bat, and Smoak jogs to first. Morneau will get there first. Another very poorly hit ball for an out. Gopher Football with Jerry Kill is your home for Gopher Football. Hence the name. This week, get a preview of the 2012 season. Get to know some of the new faces ready to step up this year, plus look back at a former Gopher whose legacy is living on with the 2012 team. All this and more on Gopher Football with Jerry Kill, Wednesday at 6, only on Fox Sports North. One gone on the second. Here's Miguel Olivo. Fouled back. The Mariners, like the Twins, carrying 3 catchers. And over this 4-game series, we'll almost certainly see all 3 of them. Just as we expect the Twins to catch Mauer, Domit, and likely, I would think, Drew Butera in this series, too.
Imagine Drew will get the 100-degree day on Thursday, don't you? Young guy can't bother him.
Fouled away, 2 strikes. But the Mariners have their catcher of the future on the present day roster, Montero. Then John Jaso, who called and caught last night's start for Felix Hernandez, and veteran Miguel Olivo. Just off the plate. And while the Twins might DH Joe Mauer or Ryan Domit, they won't DH Drew Butera. The Mariners, all 3 catchers have caught, played elsewhere, or DH'd. Montero, Olivo, and Jaso all can slide into the DH spot. Mauer completes the strikeout, 2 down.
Good slider there. That's a little bit different than the cutter. The cutter's like a fastball that moves in this direction. That's a little slower, a little bigger. So you see the ball come out of his hand. Looks like the cutter. You got to get the big end of the bat out there, and then all of a sudden it's slower and is diving harder than you think, and you've swung over the top of it as he hit it.
Here's Thames. The importance of getting strike 1, and Scott Diamond does it better than anybody else.
Well, he's pitched to 7 hitters, and he's gotten 7 strike 1s. I mean, that's pretty good command of the strike zone.
1-1 to Thames, who hit the home run to left on a pitch down and away out of the strike zone by Liam Hendriks, and the only run scored of the game. It was the 10th straight game that the Mariners had hit a home run in. This one to left field, and it'll carry out to Willingham. 10 pitches in the first, 11 pitches in the second. walk to Ben Revere, but faced just 3 men in the inning. And this is what you were talking about before, the morning after.
Yeah. You know, it's the it's the reverse hangover. And I didn't know the record was this stark, but I just have to tell you, when I can remember hitting against Nolan Ryan on one day. I don't care who it was the next day. Right. It was easier.
Here's Josh Willingham to lead off the second inning. And a breaking pitch over for strike one.
If he throws that pitch again to Josh Willingham sometime today, it's going to go in the upper deck. I'm just going to tell you that same one.
Okay. Check with Willingham today. His neck is 100% after being sidelined for a couple of games in Texas. 1-1. Twins seem to be very patient. Oddly enough, in the first inning, the only impatient batter, the one with the least patience, was Joe Mauer, who swung at the second pitch. Down and in, 2-1. It's remarkable that the Twins haven't done better or scored more runs than they have against the Mariners. Just about a run and a half per game. You can't possibly win games with that, and that kind of run production. It's given that a miracle the Twins have actually won a game. Tap foul, 2-2.
There was the same pitch I was talking about, but much lower, a much better pitch. The first one that he got over for a strike, kind of a get me over breaking ball, was right in the middle of the zone. This is where he's trying to throw this curveball. You can see down and moving away. Real good pitch there at 81 miles an hour off an 89 or 90 mile an hour fastball. So that's where he wants to throw that pitch. But if he throws a belt high like he did that first one, that's where I'm thinking Josh might hit that one.
And Willingham, for the second night in a row, is hit by a pitch. In the first inning, Revere and his speed will walk to first. Now Willingham and his speed will go to first, leading off the second.
And Guardian's going to have to go over to Scott Diamond and say, now, he didn't mean to do that. You don't have to do it. Just don't get carried away here.
Yeah. Well, here's Morneau. Morneau got the leadoff triple against Felix Hernandez last night in the 7th inning, but the Twins didn't score. Willingham now leading the American League and getting hit by pitches. Bounce toward the right side. Nice catch by Ackley. He'll get the force play at second base. Ackley going far to his left to take a hit away from Morneau.
That's a terrific play to know who the runner on first base is. Josh Willingham, not the speediest. And watch him here. He goes a long way, makes a good play and a better decision to get the lead runner right here. The safety first play, take the easy out at first. But here he gets the lead runner and stays in a double play situation with a really fine turn and throw to second base. That's a big league play right there by middle infield.
Here's the Twins' designated hitter, Ryan Doumit. Doumit struggling a bit at the plate. He's seeing an awful lot of off-speed stuff, a lot of breaking pitches. Olivo sets up inside for a fastball and strike one. And what's happened, it seems, when Doumit gets a first pitch fastball for a strike, it's the last fastball he sees.
Well, he wants to hit the fastball, as most of us big league hitters do. What compounds the problem for Ryan is he wants to pull the ball as well, and you can get a little out of sync when you're trying to hit the ball out in front of you a lot.
Breaking pitch pulled foul.
And so what happens is you get a lot of those where you'll pull that breaking ball, you'll be too far out in front of it, or you'll swing over the top of it. And it's the what Ryan was doing earlier with even 2 weeks ago, from 2 to 3 and 4 weeks ago, he was hitting the ball to left field better than I've ever seen him do it. And Joe Vavra and I don't want to see Ryan Doumit become an opposite field slasher, but every once in a while, when you're a little out of sorts, you got to go the other way and get your timing back, not be quite so out in front.
Fastball down and away.
I don't know why it happens, but it is this way. And when we we talk with Ron Coomer here a little bit later, he will vouch for this. When you're going well and you want to take a pitch, you'll throw a fastball and it'll be a ball and you're ahead in the count 1-0. But when you're not swinging well, boy, every fastball you take is a strike. I don't know how that happens. Like that one.
Domek called out on strikes, 2 down. That'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. The Twins and the Prairie Island Indian community are proud to bring you Celebrate Diversity Day in 2012. When the Twins play Seattle tomorrow night, the first 5,000 fans will get a Celebrate Diversity coffee mug. And if you get there a few minutes early, you can catch an entertaining pregame ceremony featuring the music and dancing of numerous cultures. Good seats available for the game. Check out pricing at twinsbaseball.com or 800-33-TWINS. Trevor Plouffe at the plate. Slow breaking ball over first strike, similar to the one that he threw at Josh Willingham, right?
Yep.
You gonna make the same bet on that one? If he throws that pitch again to Plouffe in the same spot, it's going to be in the upper deck?
Not that spot. That wasn't bad, but I will say that if he hangs out over the inside part of the plate, Trevor will have a good swing at it at some point. But I'm going to stick with my Willingham.
Okay. Swing and a miss at the fastball. 0-2. Twins still without a hit. Again, the Iwakuma, when the Twins faced him in Seattle, started his night with 4 1-2-3 innings. Oh, 2. One and 2. Two and 2. Iwakuma centers himself in the middle of the pitching rubber. 2 and 2 to Trevor Plouffe. And strike 3. Couple of strikeouts end the inning. The Twins get a hit batter, still looking for their first hit of the night against Iwakuma. A reminder that you still can ask us a question at carsoup.com/baseball. One of the most beautiful cities in our viewing area, Hastings, Minnesota. Michael Halber wondering how the MLB appeal process works and why Scott Diamond's able to pitch tonight. Well, we tried to explain that during, I think, the pregame show. But as I understand it, and please, Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, he's been handed a 6-game suspension. Once you decide to appeal it, you can delay serving the suspension. Scott, his agent, and the Twins have done their part. They have filed their appeal. Now Major League Baseball will get around to it whenever they'll get around to it in terms of reviewing the videotape. Here's a fly to center. Revere now hustling in, making a diving catch. Ben Revere with a late start but a quick finish.
Those kinds of swings in contact will fool center fielders, especially. A guy takes a big swing and hits it off the end of the bat, causing him to get a late jump, but speed will make up for a lot of oops, and that's a terrific play. I've been so amazed at A, his ability to close on the ball, but B, again, what we saw right there, his concentration on the ball all the way into the glove as he's diving. It's remarkable. I mean, the ball goes in his glove and stays there because he watches it all the way in, even in midair.
There's Brendan Ryan fouling it back.
But what will happen, excuse me, Dave, what will happen, watch this swing. Guy takes a big swing and hits it off the end of the bat, and that will cause him to take a step back to make sure the ball's not going over his head. And then he recognizes that it was a little doink, and he has to run like crazy to get in. There aren't a whole lot of guys that can close on the ball like that.
Swing and a miss, 2 strikes. Now, regarding the Scott Diamond situation, now he's filed his appeal. Major League Baseball will get around to it, we're told now, sometime in September. And then they will issue their ruling. And what Scott wants more than anything else is to have the suspension reduced by at least a couple of games. There is a fine that's already attached to the infraction. Then there's days lost without pay. That's one of the other reasons Diamond wants 6 days reduced by at least a couple. But if he can even get 2 days taken off, then at least his pitching rhythm and rotation won't be disrupted as a starting pitcher. If Major League Baseball says we'll reduce it to 4 games, then Scott will say, all right, I'm starting on Tuesday. I'll start serving it on Wednesday, as I understand. There's the pitch that hit Mauer.
And on a 3-0 pitch, you can't figure out what in the world Oswalt was thinking. But now his teammate backs him up and says, you're gonna throw at my guy. I'm gonna throw at your guy. And what Gardy is so angry about, and this drives manager Ron Gardenhire absolutely crazy, is the first guy never gets a warning. There's never a problem. He gets away scot-free, and the guy that protects his hitter, not only does he not just get a warning, and you could read Scott Diamond's lips, why didn't you warn me? Where's the warning? That's what he was yelling at the umpire when he got thrown out. And that's not the way the umpires work a lot, and it drives Gardy crazy because Oswalt gets nothing and Diamond gets tossed because he's the second guy, not the first guy. And it was as blatantly obvious the first time there was Oswalt's as Diamond's was.
But I've seen it play out that way too, where the warnings were issued after, in this case, Mauer had gotten smoked, and then the manager gets tossed because now he doesn't have a chance for retribution. Ron Gardenhire has been ejected a handful of times for that, so he may have been ejected even if the warnings were issued. But Gardy's point today was, look, Joe Mauer almost got hit in the head, but he did get hit. My guy got suspended, and he missed Josh Hamilton. Hamilton never got touched.
Right.
And Oswalt continued to pitch.
And Oswalt continued to pitch, exactly right.
2-2 to Ryan. Pulled wide, fair ball over the bag. And a carom to Willingham. Running to second is Ryan, and here's the thrown out in time. So third base umpire Paul Nauert emphatically called it a fair ball, saying that it had bounced over the bag. And it's a 1-out double here in the third.
Second baseman number 13, Dustin Ackley.
That looked like
if it was over the bag, it was over the outside front corner of the bag. It was just barely fair if it was.
I thought I saw a hop almost even with the bag in foul territory. But Ryan's at second with a double, and here's Ackley. Anyway, Scott Diamond will continue to pitch, take his turn until Major League Baseball rules on his appeal. Ackley with a fly to left his first time up, and he takes strike one.
Well, one other point I'd like to make too about what drives managers crazy about the warning on even the first attempt when the second guy hasn't done anything yet. That really precludes a guy from pitching inside effectively, because trying to pitch inside to get hitters out, if the ball gets away and hits the guy, he can get tossed out of the game after just an early warning to the other pitcher.
Right.
So it really, really changes the game when the umpires overmanage that.
That said, I can guarantee you that if Wally Bell had not thrown Diamond out after the pitch to Hamilton, chopper right side, the runner will advance. Carroll with the assist to Morneau, who has the putout. I guarantee you Wally Bell would have heard from his bosses in Major League Baseball that if the mandate umpires are given now is anything that's interpreted as an attempt to hit someone in the head has to be, immediately ruled on. Now, Scott Diamond's not someone who's going to try to hit Hamilton in the head, but it was in the vicinity, and they're very protective of things like that. So I'm guessing that Wally Bell, if he had just let that one slide, probably would have gotten in trouble with his boss.
I don't think there's any question about that. That's true.
Here's Franklin Gutierrez. Then the next question is, who cares if the umpires are getting in trouble with their bosses?
I wasn't going to say that.
1-0 to Gutierrez.
Well, it's just a situation, scenario, and rule that and policy that needs to be looked at and figured out in a way. I mean, you should talk with managers and say, okay, what are we going to do about this?
Right.
Because I think it's wrong the way it is.
1-0 to Gutierrez. And we don't want umpires to get in trouble with their bosses. They're catching enough grief from the White Sox TV booth these days.
Imagine the White Sox TV booth might get a few calls from various bosses as well.
On the outside corner. 2-1. Gutierrez with a bouncer to short his first time up.
There's an example of what I've been talking about with Scott Diamond, throwing any pitch at any time in any count. There's a 2-0 fastball type situation. He just drops a little backdoor slider over the outside corner, throws it for a strike, doesn't go to 3-0, gets the strike.
Just wide, 3-1 with Seager on deck.
But that pitch starts messing with the hitter's mind when you think, holy cow, a guy can do that. Here's a fastball that just missed the outside corner. A good pitch.
Three and 1 to Gutierrez. And now 3-2.
So what we've seen with Scott Diamond this year, we were talking earlier in the show about what's been the difference between it has made it so much better this year than last. It's not just the ability to throw strikes with all his pitches, but to throw a strike when he absolutely has to with just about any pitch and throw it on the corner a lot. Throw it out of the middle of the zone. It's really been remarkable, his ability to throw the ball on the perimeter of the zone when he wants to.
Breaking ball lifted foul.
Another great example of it right there. A little backdoor slider, 3-2. You have to be protected against fastball. Watch this pitch right here. Little backdoor slider that starts on the outside and breaks back right on the corner. Now as a hitter, you're forced to protect not only the whole plate against fastballs, but the whole strike zone against all speeds and movements. And that's difficult to do.
Another 3-2 pitch. And there's a rare walk by Diamond, and he looks over his right shoulder in disgust. First and third now, and top RBI man for the Mariners, Kyle Seager, comes to the plate. Seager on an 0-1-2 pitch. Hoped a single into center field with 2 out in the first. late on a 91-mile-per-hour fastball. What's amazing to me, Roy, is regarding Diamond, he seems to pitch with some polish. And you're talking about a guy who came into the year with 39 major league innings pitched. That's it. But he seems like he's been through it all before.
He absolutely does. It takes a great amount of polish to be able to throw those pitches in all different counts like we've been talking about.
And now 0-2 to Seager.
We're also seeing right here, we don't know how this at-bat's going to turn out yet, but we're also seeing right here a little bit of shades of what Felix Hernandez did last night. When Diamond was pitching to Seager in the first inning, he was throwing a little cutter, and it was about 87, 88, 89 miles an hour, and he threw some on the outside corner that Seager fell off, and then Seager got one in the middle of the plate and got a hit. Now all of a sudden, Diamond's got to get him right here. 91 mile an hour straight fastball, 89 mile an hour cutter, and all of a sudden he's bearing down like, I really got to punish him. That's a good pitch right there. Change the eye angle on the hitter. He's been seeing a lot of cutters. Now show him one that's straight and high up around his eyes. That will totally change his eye angle and change the thought process in his head. Because when it's up there, you say, holy cow, that ball's got a little life on it. I've got to be quick on the fastball. And now you can plant a little confusion in there.
Pitchers love 1, 2, 3 innings, but ultimately what separates the successful ones from those not so successful, how you fare in situations like this. Obviously, Diamond's done a great job in situations like this, either less than 2 out getting double play grounders, but stranding runners when threats are put together against him. 1-2. Fouled away.
He's done a great job of minimizing damage, and like as we said before, he's going to give up some hits, but the way he minimizes damage is by not walking people to compound the problem, and by being able to stay out of the middle of the strike zone when a guy's got a chance to drive in a big run or two. Make the guy hit a really, really good pitch, and he does have a very polished ability to sense when a guy's looking for one speed and throw another one.
Missing inside to even the count. Only 5 pitches here in the third. Diamond's had to work after the 1-out double by Brendan Ryan. Driven to right center field. And it'll go all the way to the wall. Seager comes through for the Mariners. 2 runs will score as Seager, their top RBI man, now picks up a pair. 75 runs batted in on the season.
That's a terrific at bat by that young man, Kyle Seager. Not that bad a pitch, low fastball, but it had a lot of the plate. Left-hand hitters are good low fastball hitting guys. See, good pitch to most guys, but Seager, good low ball hitter, low fastball hitter. You saw in the pitch before that when Diamond came in on him just off the plate and missed, and Diamond showed a little bit of disgust, a little frustration. He had him set up for getting him out inside, but pitching him away, and just missed on that pitch. That let Seager back in the count, back in the at-bat a little bit.
Strike 1 to Montero, who ended the first by hitting one right off the end of his bat to Morneau. So the first lead going to Seattle as they break through here in the third inning. Strike 2. Seager emerging as a middle of the lineup guy for the Mariners. A big hit here in the third, and now a little number hit to Carroll. And that'll end the inning. But a couple of doubles and a couple of runs for the Mariners.
Sports North is brought. Sports North is brought to you by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. By CenturyLink, a different kind of communications company. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Grand Casino, the best stories start here. In Seattle a couple of weeks ago, Iwakuma got an early 3-0 lead and made it tough on the Twins. And now he's got an early 2-0 lead. Jamie Carroll will lead off the bottom of the third. Pedro Florimon and Ben Revere will follow. Up and away, ball one. What in the name of Denny McClain is going on in Kansas City? Justin Verlander had a 3-run lead in the first inning. There's one out in the bottom of the second, and the Royals are leading Verlander and the Tigers 7-3. Up high, 2-0. White Sox are trailing the Orioles 5-0. Oakland leading Cleveland 5-0. And a belt high strike, even to Jamie Carroll. 2-1. Breaking ball over to even the count. We noticed it in Seattle, Iwakuma, and again here tonight. Well, he works with a pretty rapid pace, much like Liam Hendriks did last night. Ron Gardenhire mentioned that today during his media briefing. 3-2. Carroll's taken all 5 pitches. The one thing that Hendriks did last night that the Twins had not seen, other than pitching 9 innings, but he had a rhythm, he had a tempo out there, and he really did a good job with that last night.
Yes, he did. So important.
Carroll draws a leadoff walk. Revere drew a leadoff walk. The leadoff man has reached in all 3 innings with 2 walks and a hit batter. A step forward, a leap forward. We hope for Liam Hendriks.
I'd have to call it a leap. He was a totally different guy last night. As you say, Dick, he worked quickly. He had a purpose, but he was throwing strikes. And throwing strikes, like we're talking about Scott Diamond here, except for that one pitch. And actually, that was a good pitch. If you really wanted to split hairs, you could say it was a little high, but it was on the outside corner or just off.
Kicks away from Olivo and goes off the field of play. Florimon, or Carroll rather, anchored at second base. That wasn't received well by Olivo, whether it hit the plate or not.
That's not the way you draw up a pitch block by a catcher right there.
So Carroll at second, 1-0 to Florimon. Olivo to the mound. Now Florimon getting a chance to play every day, and he's hitting 286, and you're wondering, well, why is he hitting 286? And the smart aleck answer is because as a right-handed batter he's hitting 286, and as a left-handed batter he's hitting 286. So his overall average would have to be then 286.
I think that if you add 286 and 286 and divide by 2, then you
there you go.
Probably have 286. Right here is a situation where the young man has to be able to hit the ball to the right side. Get something you can hit, move the guy to third base, get one run at a time if necessary, but give the guys behind you a chance to get a run without a hit. Move him over. Even though they're 2 runs down early in the game, get him over.
And clearly the approach the first time through the batting order has been to make Iwakuma throw a lot of pitches. We saw Revere, who's not going to ever walk 100 times in a season, but he walked on 5 pitches. Willingham, Morneau, Domet. I mean, they all took some pitches. Carroll walked. Now 3-0 to Florimon. And a strike.
Talking to batting coach Joe Vavra about Florimon, he said, you know, the one good thing about this youngster is he really doesn't expand the strike zone an awful lot. And we see it here. He's in a situation where he needs to pull the ball, but he hasn't offered at a pitch yet out of the strike zone. Ooh, a crossover.
And ball 4, Olivo thought a fastball was coming, and the ball broke almost into the strike zone. So back-to-back walks here in the 3rd. You can vote for the Arby's Value Player of the Game. Text the word value followed by a space and the player's name to short code 234 234. Carl Willis to the mound to try to figure out what went on there in that last pitch and whether he can get Iwakuma redirected into the strike zone. 38 pitches, 21 balls, 17 strikes. So now Revere, who walked and was doubled up in the 1st inning.
Center fielder number 11, Ben Revere.
Even though Iwakuma has been wild here, I'm not in favor of taking a pitch, but I'm in favor of real good discipline. Hit like it's 2-0 or 3-1, right down the middle or no count.
Squaring the bunt, taking a strike.
Ben, I think taking all the way there, just faking a bunt, which is okay if you're going to take after a guy has been as wild, walked 2 guys in a row, that's fine. But for me, I really like being aggressive and trying to drive these runs in when a guy's struggling, but you have to be able to be the kind of hitter that's disciplined and swing at only really, really fat pitches in that situation.
Again, Olivo can't catch the pitch. And Revere, who squared the bunt, never offered at it. That one looked like it got to the catcher on the fly. He kicked away.
It did, and it looked like a strike to me. He squares around.
Oh my, that was right down the middle.
Yeah, I don't know why Ben didn't try to bunt it, and I really don't know why Olivo didn't catch it.
It was called a strike. Cut the plate in half. Corner infielder still playing up for Revere. So, you know, when we say catcher and a pitcher got crossed up, it almost seems like you blame the pitcher most of the time for that. It might have been the catcher. He's having a tough inning here. Foul back, 1-2.
That wasn't a cross-up. That was just what we call a box-up.
No, I meant a few pitches before, though.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. That was definitely a cross-up. And that happens with runners on second base when the catcher gives multiple signs so as not to give away the pitch to the runner on second base. And then the pitcher forgets which sign they're using or what the cadence is. But that last one just looked like it had some good, lively fastball movement on it, and Olivo couldn't catch it.
1-2 to Revere. 2-2. So even with 2 strikes, we're seeing Twins hitters patiently working the count, trying to get the count even, or get it into a hitter's count. Maybe that's a kind way of saying they are convinced now that Iwakuma is a nibbler.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they've seen enough of that. They know that he is going to be a nibbler.
Well, 3-2 now to Revere.
As they're saying on the bench down there, you can't run forever. You got to throw it over sooner. Like that.
Blasted to center. And Gutierrez will make the catch. 1 run will score. Revere getting a sacrifice fly. He worked it. Worked the count from 1-2 to 2-2, then 3-2 to 3-2. He got a fastball down the middle and ripped it pretty hard to center.
Very, very good at bat by Ben Revere. Absolutely. Taking pitches that he couldn't drive to get the run in, and then finally getting one and hitting it exactly where he should. Stay in the center of the diamond, get the ball in the air, drive the first run in.
So it's 2-1, and Mastroianni will hit. Hit the ball hard, hit it right back up the middle, and it hit probably the mound, but may have hit the pitching rubber and deflected right to the shortstop, who started a double play. Pulled to third. Florimon almost got trapped off a second, and Mastroianni on the first pitch is retired, 2 down. So Twins very patient against Iwakuma here. Mastroianni jumps on the first pitch and hits a ground ball to Seager. And now Mauer sent one to the left field corner just across the foul line into foul territory. Robinson made a nice catch to end the first inning. Takes a strike over the inside corner. See how the Seattle infield and outfield playing Mauer with the shortstop Ryan retreating into the outfield grass. See a second baseman do that with a left-handed batter up, but Ryan really starting in a deep position at short. Now pick off to second. Florimon is safe. May have been hit in the ribs by the throw. That
hurt. Got him right in the back of the right shoulder, I think, as he was diving back in. Right underneath the armpit, right off the glove in the latissimus dorsi area.
1 strike to Mauer. Hit to the outfield should tie the game. Foul away, and it's 2 strikes now. Twins have a run. They don't have a hit. Iwakuma approaching the 50 pitch mark, having issued 3 walks and hitting a batter.
I think part of Iwakuma's effectiveness is his delivery. He's got a very different delivery. When he comes to the plate, he looks like he would be more sidearm, and then it comes over the top. His hand actually gets back over the top. It's very. That's a good pitch.
A 74 mile per hour breaking pitch freezes Mauer, and the tying run left at second base. 2-1 Mariners in less than 2 weeks, September 8th to be exact. Tom Kelly will become the 7th Minnesota Twin to have his jersey number retired. And it'll be a fun and memorable night at Target Field on that Saturday. The weekend series against Cleveland presented by the South Dakota Department of Tourism. And there are plenty of good tickets, good seats left for the game on Saturday. Be a part of the celebration for TK by calling 800-33-TWINS or log on to twinsbaseball.com. And we have Patrick Klinger, the Vice President of Marketing for the Minnesota Twins, with us here to talk about something the Twins have done in conjunction with Tom Kelly's number retirement. And it again involves bobbleheads, a managerial set of bobbleheads.
That's exactly right. We wanted to do something really special in conjunction with TK's number getting retired. And so what we decided to do was to create a set of bobbleheads that feature all of the managers who have been in, who have skippered the Twins.
11, I believe, right?
12.
12,
actually.
okay, all right.
We actually didn't have any bobbleheads on our promotional schedule this year, so this is an opportunity for fans who collect bobbleheads to get a set, a really unique set of bobbleheads, because many of these managers who are featured in the set will probably never be immortalized in a bobblehead any other way.
And so it's a set of 12 from Cookie Lavagetto all the way through Ron Gardner. Right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, Mr. Smalley, of course, has a special interest in the Mock bobblehead, but you can't get these individually, can you?
You cannot.
Well, that's not my only interest. I mean, there's Sam Mealy and Billy Rigney,
right.
and of course, guy I played for twice, Billy Martin, because he made my head bobble, and I played for him.
1-1. And a chopper, Diamond. Nice fielding play. Nice scoop at first from Morneau, and a nice recovery to keep from getting flattened by Justin Smoke. 1 down.
And that's a cool set, Patrick. It really is. I think that's a neat deal, neat idea. As we watch Diamond make a nice play, and not a great throw, but a great glove save by the former goalie. Nice play. Watch his footwork as he stays on the bag and then gets out of the way. Look at this. Now move it.
So Levo, the runner, going down the line. 2 down, and Eric Thames. So here are the specifics. Only 1,000 sets will be sold. The price, $210 per set, or less than $20 per bobblehead, with proceeds benefiting the Twins Community Fund. Revere going back. For more information, go to twinsbaseball.com. Patrick, your visit here almost as short as Mr. St. Peter's last night.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you can get three outs like this quickly, I'll take it any time.
By the way, you're coming with us on the next road trip just because of innings like this.
Fan Central at the Minnesota State Fair, where You can get your Minnesota Lynx gear. You can also get tickets to a Lynx game or posters, and you can also have your picture taken next to the trophy. That is the WNBA Championship Trophy, won by the Lynx and on display here at Fan Central.
All right, the Lynx are leading 54-53, playing over at Target Center. Josh Willingham leads off the fourth. Twins in a 2-1 ball game, still don't have a hit against Hisashi Iwakuma. And Willingham tried to change that, fouling it to the screen. Now, not only is the Minnesota State Fair a place where a lot of Twins fans go, Minnesotans, but I know a number of members of the Mariner media contingent went to the State Fair today and had a great time.
How could you not?
Inside to Willingham, 1-1. He was hit in the shoulder by a pitch leading off the second inning. Twins took a couple of walks in the third inning to start the inning. And then 3 outs later, they had a run on the board. This one lifted to short right, almost in no man's land. Ackley called off by the right fielder Thames, who had a long run. He was playing out by the 365-foot sign and had to make about a 100-foot gallop to get in position to make the catch. One down, that'll bring up Morneau.
What I was saying earlier about Iwakuma's delivery, it's interesting because the way he kind of tucks his front shoulder and his arm drops down, it would look to a hitter, especially a left-hand hitter, like he was going to come a little bit sidearm and have the ball, his fastball sink. He ducks down, but then as his arm comes down, somehow he gets back over the top of it, and it makes his fastball ride straight instead of sink. And for some reason, I think he's a little sneaky because of that delivery. Fastballs, 90-mile-an-hour fastballs have beaten guys so far, and there's usually a reason for that. 90 miles an hour is not good. You're not going to throw the ball by somebody at 90 miles an hour, and yet you see here now he drops his shoulder and his arm kind of down to the side. It looks like he's going to be a sidearm, and then he comes back over the top, and that's what causes the ball to be straight and a little sneaky. See that pitch right there, 91, he threw it by Justin, and it just is, they're having some funny swings against him, and my only explanation is that delivery is just a little bit sneaky somehow.
1-2 to Morneau. And waved at it, literally just almost flung the bat at it to try to stay alive, and he got a piece of it.
Now again, when the difference between a fastball and that little breaking ball is only 6 miles an hour, watch 6 miles an hour. Watch this. There's a changeup, and when the difference is only 90 to 85, that being that far out in front of that pitch is usually an indication that you're concerned about the fastball, and you shouldn't be concerned. There's something in his delivery that's deceptive, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. But I think as we look at it from a hitter's view, like we just did, I think his arm appears to start drop down. He gives the little hesitation, double hesitation. Arm looks like it's going to drop down, then it comes back over the top, and somehow it's getting on the hitter more quickly than the hitters are expecting.
And now Morneau's worked the count full. Pickup on the backhand by Smoke, and goes to the bag. Out number 2. AT&T trivia. Who are the 3 pitchers since 1969 to have 4 1-0 wins in a season? Well, yesterday's was Felix Hernandez's 4th since June 28th. So there's 1.
4 shutout? Were they all?
Yes.
Or 4th 1-0?
He won 4 shutouts by a score of 1-0.
Did he?
Yes.
1-0. Okay. Wow.
Mr. Blyleven, I think, is on that list. Bert will be back on the air tomorrow night for the duration of the season. One and 0 to Ryan Doumit. And a swing and a miss. 1-1.
Out in front of a changeup there. Iwakuma has done a very nice job of pitching what we call back and forth, and that has to do with changing speeds. Throw it hard, throw it soft, throw it hard, throw it a little softer.
1-2.
There are two competing ways to pitch to a hitter. One's called back and forth, and the other one everybody's kind of familiar with, in and out. Iwakuma not so effective tonight in and out because he's been a little wild, hasn't been able to throw the ball on the corners the way he would like to, but he's been very good back and forth. Very good changing from hard to somewhat softer to very soft.
Doumit chips it to left. Easy catch for Robinson. In Seattle, Iwakuma started the game with 4 perfect innings. Tonight, he's got 4 no-hit innings. North at the Minnesota State Fair now through Labor Day at 1311 Underwood Street across from the Ballpark Cafe. Tomorrow watch the Twins game on the big screen TV starting at 6:30. Record a free sports update. You can learn about the fall programming lineup, meet the Fox Sports North girls. Log on to foxsports.com, click on the event banner for complete details. We move to the 5th inning. Scott Diamond gave up a 2-run double to Kyle Seager. Now a busted bat, and that'll skip into center field. And Robinson has a first pitch leadoff single. We're happy to have Paul and Emily Clendenin with us, the Circle Me Bert guests. They are from, they got married in Fargo on Saturday and spending part of your honeymoon here with the Twins at Target Field. Great to have you with us.
Congratulations. That's terrific.
Paul is stationed as a sergeant in the U.S. Marine Corps at Quantico, Virginia.
Well, thank you for your service. We deeply appreciate it.
And their first game ever at Target Field. Here's Brendan Ryan in what might be a bunting situation. And Diamond misses the inside corner. The Mariners 2 runs on 4 hits. The Twins with 1 run on no hits.
We saw there 16 of 18 first pitch strikes. He continues to attack that strike zone that has become his trademark and one of the main reasons for his success this year.
If he doesn't bunt, he's going to hit into a double play. There's my call of the night. Foul back. 1-1. Diamond has gotten a very high number of double plays, 23 of them. And the hits he's given up, the base runners he's given up, have been doubles or one-out singles, except for Robinson's leadoff single here. So I feel pretty safe, pretty confident that Diamond's going to get his ground ball double play right here. Strike on the outside corner, 1-2.
I'm surprised at the no bunt there from Brendan Ryan, from Eric Wedge, not giving a sign to this young man. Terrific fielding shortstops, not hitting much. I think the only explanation is they want him to learn how to hit. So get up there and hit, don't bunt. But most times that's a bunting situation, a 2-1 game in the fifth.
Runner goes in the dirt, block, and Robinson will advance on a stolen base. So they guessed right. Diamond threw a breaking pitch in the dirt. Lauer couldn't field it cleanly, and Robinson got a really good jump anyway. Base stealers are now 13 for 16 against Scott Diamond. Even with the slide step, it looked like Robinson had that base stolen.
You could tell that he had on his mind. He was twitching a little bit, and a lot of base stealers will tell you, Davey Lopes and Maury Wills and all those guys, you can tell when guys are going to go. Everybody does something different.
Solid single to center. Robinson did not get a good break at all. Revere with a throw to the infield, holding him at third base. So the 8 and 9 batters get hits against Diamond, and a first and third threat with nobody out.
Cut fastball that kind of broke right back into the middle of the strike zone. He was trying to do the back door. That's not good base running. That is. He said, "Come on, man! I don't get that many RBIs."
I got 28 ribbies on the year.
You got to know that's a hit. And he's right. That's just a question of not knowing where your shortstop is, and that ball is hit right up the middle.
Strike over the inside corner.
He'll be out tomorrow during batting practice, standing there taking a lead, reading balls off the bat, deciding whether that's a base hit or not. You have to do that. You have to be a base runner in the big leagues that recognizes what a sure base hit is when you're on second base.
Driven deep to right center field. Ackley hits a home run with 2 men aboard. A 3-run home run, his 10th of the year, and it's 5-1. So Robinson, Ryan, and Ackley all come across. Still nobody out here in the fifth.
Fastball right in the middle of the zone. Not a whole lot of movement. I don't know if he's trying to throw a cutter or if it was his regular fastball, straight fastball, but that was middle.
So Ackley hitting just .233, but now 10 home runs, hitting in the leadoff spot for Eric Wedge. That's why Eric Wedge didn't have Ryan bunt. He knew he was going to get a single. He knew Ackley was going to hit a 3-run home run. So Franklin Gutierrez now with the Mariners teeing off on Scott Diamond. A couple of runs in the third and 3 already here in the fifth. They measure the home run at 405 feet. Kyle Waldrop warming up. .65 pitches for Diamond, and a first pitch strike. Diamond, the 14th home run allowed on the season, and for the Mariners, they've now homered in 11 straight games. Chopper to short. Florimone has it. Steps himself a couple of times and fires the first one down. That'll bring up Seager. Seager with a couple of hits against Diamond. A 2-out single to center in the first, and then with 2 outs And runners at first and third. Diamond got ahead of Seager. Seager flipped a couple of pitches foul and then drove a double to right center field to drive in a pair. Florimon gets a waist high hop. Again, sets himself a couple of times. Fires over to Morneau, 2 down. How about Bert Blyleven, Felix Hernandez, and Randy Johnson? Ferguson Jenkins.
Fergie Jenkins, my goodness.
And
well, when I first came up with the to the big leagues with the Texas Rangers, I was teammates with Fergie in 1975. So I think that counts. I was teammates with one of the.
Okay, all right. So you're trying to think that we.
I think we got them all.
Got them all.
Yeah.
Okay. I like your thinking. Montero with a couple of ground ball outs as Diamond tries to finish up the top of the 5th inning. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Busted bat, Diamond will run it halfway and flip to Morneau. But the damage in the 5th already done. With 3 hits in the inning, including Dustin Ackley's 3-run home run, it's 5-1.
Seattle in the saddle right now with a 5-1 lead, but we are all happy right here. We are standing in the Minnesota State Lottery winner's circle. We have 100 scratch-off tickets for Laurel right here next to me. When you come to the Twins game from Greece, you're going to win some lottery tickets. A great sign. Over 20 hours of flying, formerly with the Air Force, now with the U.S. Naval Academy. You come back every summer to watch Twins baseball. How special is this? You got great seats on a beautiful night.
Absolutely. Perfect. Just make sure you come home when they're in town.
Now, you get to watch the Twins when you're over in Greece. How do you do it?
AFN Network.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. You got 100 scratch-off tickets. Guys, over 20 hours of traveling to see baseball. You got to love that kind of passion.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Trevor Plouffe leading off the Twins' 5th. He'll be followed by Jamie Carroll and Pedro Florimon. And now Iwakuma's got a 4-run lead at 5-1. Popped up short right field. A long run again for Thames. This time it's Ackley, the second baseman, with the catch, 1 away. Well, the Twins hoping that they would have better at-bats, more productive at-bats against Iwakuma the second time they've seen him. And so far it's been more of the same. They still don't have a hit.
They're having a hard time figuring out the change of speeds that Iwakuma is featuring tonight. Not an overpowering fastball, but evidently deceptively sneaky. breaking ball and a pretty good changeup that's really kept him off balance.
Carroll walked and scored, and he takes strike one. Sliced foul, 2 strikes. Jason Vargas will pitch tomorrow. He's been really good for the Mariners. Iwakuma's been good, but of course the leader of this pitching staff is Felix Hernandez. 1-2. There's Vargas. 180 innings pitched already for Vargas. Fouled away. Twins just 2 wins, 8 losses on the road trip that started in Seattle by being swept. And the Twins just didn't get enough run production against this Mariner pitching staff to win a ball game at Safeco Field. 1-2 to Carroll. 2-2. This will be Iwakuma's 70th pitch of the night. To right center field and down for a hit. Carroll gets the first Twins hit. Takes a big turn, slams on the brakes, and the Twins get a 1-out single here in the 5th. So Carroll's reached both times against Iwakuma.
Classic Jamie Carroll approach at the plate, let the ball get deep, meaning back over the plate, inside out the ball toward the right center field part of the field. We've seen that a lot from Jamie Carroll. He takes the same approach up there all the time. I watched him in batting practice today. He hit that same ball 2 or 3 times, but up higher in the air. It really, really frustrated him. He doesn't want to hit the ball in the air. He wants to hit line drives and ground balls over there. Practice paid off. He got himself a hit.
Florimone swings and fouls it to the net. Talking with Twins general manager Terry Ryan before the game about Florimone. Of course, he mentioned the errors, 4 of them in the field already, but saying that the best thing that he has seen from Florimone, and he's really, the general manager has only seen him up here, because he doesn't seem to be overmatched at the plate. I asked Terry about that. I said, well, I'm sure you saw him in the minor leagues. He said, no, when I went to Rochester, Florimone was in Double-A, and then when Terry went to Double-A, Florimone was in Rochester, and you tend to forget that, you know, this is a guy who started the year at Double-A, Florimone, and now here he is playing every day at short for the big league club. 1-1. And 2-1. Florimone worked out a walk his first time up. His 5th walk against 9 strikeouts.
He looks very good to me at shortstop. I think he has all the tools, the 4 errors notwithstanding. Young guys are going to make some errors early on in their as they get started in the big leagues. But what I've been impressed with the way he moves around short, and also his right-handed stroke. Left-handed looks like he's not quite there yet, and nearly as offensive looking as he does as he looks right-handed. But here's another good example. He doesn't expand the strike zone, and for a young guy that started the year in Double-A, went to Triple-A, and now is playing quickly in the big leagues here. Very, very disciplined not to expand the strike zone from either side of the plate.
3-1. Three and 2. What will be interesting when the Twins can make September call-ups is A, whether Brian Dozier will be called up, and then B, how often and where Dozier will play. There goes Carroll, and Florimon lines it to left. Making the catch is Robinson, and Carroll has to retrieve. So Florimon gets the count full and puts the barrel of the bat on it. 1 away or 2 away.
Yep, that's good at bat. Hit a line drive somewhere. That's a very good at bat for the young man.
Ben Revere hit a similar ball to center field and drove in the lone Twins run.
Ball out away from him and goes with it nicely. Hits it very sharply. So a good at bat. That's successful at bat for the youngster.
Here's Revere. A walk and a sacrifice fly. Yankees beat Toronto 2-1. Might be without Mark Teixeira for up to a couple of weeks. Calf injury. Ball 1. Oakland leading Cleveland 5-0, and the Indians are in free fall. And the shame of the Twins' performance the last couple of weeks, they haven't taken advantage of Cleveland's inability to win games since the All-Star break. Twins were just a game behind Cleveland when they were in Cleveland and in position to sweep the series. But the Indians won that last game, and the Twins haven't been able to put the heat on ever since. 3 games behind Cleveland, 4.5 games behind Kansas City. Chop to the right side. Ackley bobbles it, recovers, doesn't panic, and retires Revere. Twins got their first hit in the 5th, didn't score. It's 5-1.
Cast for the Twins once again taking on the Mariners at home. We're live on the air beginning at 6:30. It is going to be a sunny and much warmer day. Temperatures by first pitch at 86 degrees.
Yeah, we'll be going through a lot of ice cream tomorrow. And Thursday when it's supposed to be about 100 degrees.
I know you're looking forward to that. You love that 100-degree weather.
Scott Diamond gave up 2 runs in the 3rd, 3 runs in the 5th. He'll face Justin Smoak leading off the 6th. Pulled foul, a strike. Smoak with a ground ball to first and a comebacker to Diamond. To right field. Chased by Mastroianni, 1 away. That'll bring up Miguel Olivo. Today we wish Subway restaurants a happy birthday. Time now for On This Date, presented by Subway in 1981. Tim Laudner hit a home run in his first major league game off Detroit's Dave Rozema at Metropolitan Stadium 4 days earlier. Kent Herbeck did it at Yankee Stadium against George Frazier. And Laudner hit one again the next night against Detroit. Backhanded play and a nice one by Plouffe. Morneau can't handle the one-hop throw. So if it's thrown on the fly, it's an out. We'll see if Plouffe gets charged with an error. An error charge to Plouffe on the throw.
Nice backhand play here on a hot hit ball there, but just didn't get enough on the throw.
13th error charged to Plouffe in his 89th game. Here's Eric Thames. A liner to left and a fly ball to center. Down and in, ball one. .75 pitches for Diamond, 58 strikes, just 17 balls. Swing and a miss. 4 of those pitches, non-strikes, were delivered to Franklin Gutierrez with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. And then the next guy, Seager, hit the double that scored 2 runs. And that put Diamond and the Twins in a 3rd inning hole. To left. And an easy catch for Willingham. Out number 2. And now Trayvon Robinson. Robinson started the 5th inning with a single, stole second, came in on Ackley's 3-run home run.
Scott's thrown an awful lot of strikes, as you mentioned tonight. He has not changed speeds as often. And we talked about Iwakuma, how well he's been back and forth. And Diamond's looked to me like he's tried to work in and out a little bit more than back and forth. He hasn't changed. When he has changed speeds off that cut fastball and thrown changeups, he's gotten a lot of outs.
Diamond shaking Mauer off a couple of times, so Joe wants to go to the mound and have a little chat.
This happens a lot when a catcher has an idea about the guy coming to the plate and how he thinks he ought to be pitched, and the pitcher's got a different idea, evidenced by the shakeoffs. Catcher needs to go out there and say, okay, what have you got in mind here? What's your plan? If the catcher likes the plan, if different than his, he'll go ahead with it. If not, he might have a little longer discussion. But they want to be on the same page. I just want to understand what it is that you're trying to do to get this guy out.
In the dirt, ball 1. Now Diamond has more innings and a lot more success under his belt than Liam Hendriks, last night's starter, but that was one of the things Ron Gardenhire said too, that Hendriks did well. He just let the catcher call the game, and he wasn't out there strolling around the mound thinking about the next pitch. Just get on the rubber, look in for the sign, and let the catcher do all the thinking. Tapper to short should end the inning. Florimon over to Carroll. An 8-pitch 6th inning. Twins are down 5-1. play and catch by Brandon Crawford. The pop foul. Pablo Sandoval in foul ground. Got it? Nope. Got it? Yep. There it is. Brandon Crawford diving to get the catch. Some way to make it out.
You're not happy if you're the hitter. You're awfully happy if you're the pitcher for the Giants and watch him make that hustle play. Nice play.
Well, the Twins have done painfully little against Hisashi Iwakuma. Darren Mastroianni's hit 2 ground balls to short. Mastroianni added to the starting lineup when Denard Span took himself out of the lineup with a sore shoulder. Mastroianni, Mauer, and Willingham in the 6th. Up and away, ball 1.
See if the Twins hitters here at the top of the order can solve Iwakuma's fastball. It's just been a little bit over sneaky for him, and I'm not exactly sure the reason, except for possibly his deceptive delivery. But see if they can get it solved here late in the game.
2-0. Baltimore beat Chicago and Chris Sale 6-0. Lou Ford with another home run against a Chicago left-handed pitcher.
That's wonderful.
2-0 to Mastroianni. 3-0. Mauer on deck. You know, there are so many great stories in baseball this year. Team-wise, you got the Orioles, the Pirates, the A's. Individually, so many wonderful stories, and Lou Ford might be one of the best ones to be out of high-level baseball for several years, overseas, like in Mexico, and playing out of an independent league at the start of the year. And Orioles, Nolan Reimold went down early. They've been searching for a left fielder for a long time, and wouldn't that be something that the Orioles made the playoffs and Lou Ford was their starting left fielder? Here's a pop-up foul that'll reach the seats. 3-2.
I think it's my favorite story, and it's just a testimony to a young man who loves the game of baseball, loves to play it, what he feels like he was born to do, and so he just keeps working at it so he can keep playing the game. I think it's phenomenal.
And Corey and the kids have been very supportive too. That's been a nomadic existence for the Ford family.
It's so tough to drag your family around trying to play. Absolutely.
Mastroianni draws a leadoff walk. We'll see if the Twins can do something with it. Bauer's 0 for 2, a foul fly to left, and a strikeout. Oliver Perez warming up, even though Iwakuma's only given up 1 hit.
Well, that's more a pitch count issue. This guy warming up. Even though Iwakuma's never really been in a whole lot of trouble, only giving up 1 hit.
84 pitches for Iwakuma on the night. Middle of the lineup has been very quiet for the Twins. See if they can make some noise here in the 6th. Strike 1. The run the Twins scored in the 3rd inning was scored without a hit, and is an unearned run because of the pass ball. Bauer takes, and it's 1-1. "86 pitches, only 45 strikes for Iwakuma." Right back to the pitcher. And a 1-6-3 double play. 2 down in the 6th, and Willingham will come up with the bases empty.
Good sinking fastball there. He's shown him a straight fastball the whole game, but Joe got a sinker there out in front of him a little bit, hit off the end of the bat, and it's an easy double play.
Kind of a poor throw by Iwakuma. Ryan did a nice job making a catch around his shoe tops, completing the double play. And now Willingham hit by a pitch in the 2nd, a fly ball to right in the 4th.
Well, I would just say that shortstops being the best athletes on the field, they anticipate bad throws from the guys that aren't the best athletes on the field, and so he was able to
get it out of your system now, because Bert's back tomorrow.
I know, we're going to have to listen to it all for a while.
Tap foul, 2 strikes. And Mr. Blyleven's number retired in part because starting tomorrow night, pitchers will once again be the best athletes on the team. Tried to rush the outside corner, just missed it. 1-2. So you've got maybe the best pitcher in the league in Felix Hernandez, and the way the Twins are flailing away against Iwakuma, the Mariners have the perfect guy to pitch behind him, because he's just changing speeds and he's keeping Twins hitters off balance. Hernandez featured his changeup and his breaking pitches last night. And somehow this guy's got the Twins hitters very uncomfortable up there. 2-2 to Willingham. Struck him out. A leadoff walk, then a double play and a strikeout as Iwakuma continues to handcuff the Twins. Was sailing along until the third, a 2-out, 2-run double off the bat of Kyle Seager. Made it 2-0. Twins got one back, but then in the fifth, with nobody out, 2 men on, Ackley hit his 10th home run of the year to make it 5-1. And then 1 run the Twins have scored in tonight's game, an unearned run. They only have 1 hit against Iwakuma through 6 innings. So it's a 5-1 ball game. And Brendan Ryan will lead things off for the Mariners against Scott Diamond. Ryan, Ackley, and Gutierrez. First pitch fouled away. Ryan singled. He has 2 hits against Scott Diamond. CenturyLink high-speed pitch. Diamond usually around 91, 92. It's 91 tonight. Iwakuma has thrown 92, but not very often. We need to get a sponsor for the low-speed pitch. And Iwakuma, I know, back 1 off to the low 70s. 2-1.
That last graphic for Brendan Ryan, I know, has got to be a frustration for Scott Diamond. A guy hitting 200 has got a double and a single, scored 2 runs.
And he's got another hit.
Another one.
Karam goes to Willingham. Ryan has his second double. Both of them, both the doubles, pulled sharply right down the left field line. Same pitch.
Yep, the same pitch. That's that little cutter, and he's just not quite getting it in on Brendan Ryan, and that ball hit right on the fair line.
Dustin Ackley. And there's a bunt, foul. Pointed it out last night, and I mentioned this only for Jeff Datz's safety. If Ackley is swinging away and he hits it off the end of the bat, Datz has no chance to react where he's at.
Or even
and I've known Jeff for 20 years.
Even worse, down on the bat farther, he just slashes one over there.
Yeah.
He's late on the fastball.
Morneau gets the first hop. The runner will advance to third, 1 away.
And I don't really understand that. I don't understand the strategy there. I like a third base coach being right there as he's making up his mind about whether to send a runner from second to home, because it gives you more time to read the outfielder and read the throw and make up. It gives you a longer time to make up your mind. But I don't understand it there to start with a runner on second base.
Now with a runner at third, he's closer to the third base coach's box. I remember, I think he was on the Dodgers staff just a few years ago. Larry Boa got fined and suspended for arguing because he was admonished by the umpires. They stopped the game, made him move back into the coach's box. And this was at the time when coaches were first issued helmets to wear. And again, strategically, I'm not smart enough to figure out why Jeff would want to be down the baseline. I'm just worried for the coach's safety.
Well, as I say, I understand why he would get there at some point in time with a base hit to the outfield and a runner on second rounding third. I don't like a coach staying where he is right now and trying to make a decision to either send the runner or hold the runner from there. I think a runner can run by you too easily, and it doesn't give you enough time to make a good decision. So you get way down the line. You can stop a runner when he's almost halfway to home if you know the runner's good at it.
1-1. Gutierrez with a check swing. I think he went. He did, and it's 1-2.
But he has a reason for being down there with a runner on second, right from the start of the at bat. So we'll let him do what he thinks is best.
Yep. Gutierrez with a walk and a run scored, and 2 ground balls to short. Twins shortening up the infield here, already down by 4.
Yep, can't allow any more runs. He's late in the ball game. Every run here obviously is one they have to get back.
Got a strikeout that he desperately needed. 2 down.
Well, here he humps up on one a little bit, throws it in under his hands. That's a good pitch.
Royals are in town Wednesday night, September 12th. Twins have a great deal for you for a limited time. You can get right field bleacher tickets for the low price of $14. It's only available for a limited time, and you can get it by logging on to twinsbaseball.com or calling 800-33-TWINS. And there are some other promotions you'll want to check out. Catch some baseball here at Target Field before the high temperature is 4 degrees instead of 84 degrees.
Don't remind me.
It won't be long. An off day at the end of the next road trip. Going to go up and get my ice fishing equipment out. Check it all out. One strike to Seager. And another foul, 2 strikes. Twins got 9 innings from their starting pitcher last night. And Diamond, even though he's given up 5 runs here today, is on the verge of giving them 7 innings. You can see Seager's been great on the road. He's been great with the bases loaded. He's been great with 2 out. That's why he's hitting 3rd in the Mariner lineup. 2 strikes from Diamond to Seager.
Only hitting 250, but he's been very, very good, as you say, with runners on base. He's been very, very good in the power and RBI department for a 250 hitter. Been good against left-handed pitchers. Again, I think he's hitting 230 or 40 against left-handers, but hitting a commensurate amount of home runs and RBIs per at bat against left-handers as he is against right-handers. Been a very tough hitter, very tough out.
1 and 2.
And he looks like he has the kind of swing, to me, Dick, that he can learn how to hit for higher average. He doesn't look to me like there are mechanical things or any holes in his swing that would prevent him, as he learns to hit in the big leagues, that would prevent him from hitting 275 or so with some power and good RBIs.
Diamond tried to burn the outside corner but missed. 2 and 2.
Cutter, he's throwing him a lot of those cut fastballs. When he throws them on the corner, Seager's been able to kind of foul him off, fight him off. And he tried to make him chase a little bit further out, and he took it.
Tap foul. You know, the Mariner lineup is going to look for someone to be anchored to or to be the nucleus of their lineup. It's not Ichiro anymore. It might have been a few years ago, but they dealt him to the Yankees, and they're looking for somebody. Chris Chambliss looking harder than anybody else, try to find somebody to anchor this lineup and then develop around 1 or 2 players. Seager's as good a one as they've got right now as anybody. To left, Willingham retreating and getting there. So the Mariners waste a leadoff double. It's still 5-1. Sports North is brought to you by Fox Sports North is brought to you by McDonald's. Right now, you can get 20 crispy chicken McNuggets for just $4.99 at McDonald's. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Toyota. Hurry in for big savings during Toyota's nationwide clearance event going on now. It's 5-1 Seattle. They have beaten the Twins 6 times in 7 games so far this year. The Twins didn't really knock out Iwakuma, but he's out of the ball game. We'll put it that way. And so the Twins will take their swings against the Seattle bullpen, specifically Perez. Oliver Perez coming in for the 24th time. You look at the numbers, they're all pretty good. No home runs allowed in 20 2/3. Strike on the outside corner. Morneau, Doumit, and Plouffe will hit for the Twins in the 7th.
Tough delivery and stuff on left-hand hitters from Oliver Perez. Coming from the side, he leans way over toward the first base side. Comes across his body, and then throws hard. Got a good slurve.
Sliced foul, 2 strikes. The one game that the Twins won against Seattle, they were given a couple of runs late by an error charged to Tom Wilhelmsen, who was then setting games up for the Mariners. Made a throwing error. So they've done offensively virtually nothing against this Seattle pitching staff. Breaking ball up around the hands. 1-2. Wilhelmsen now the closer for the Mariners. We may get a chance to see him later on. Josh Kinney warming up now in the Mariner bullpen. 1-2. And a base hit to right field. Morneau gets it just out of Ackley's reach for a leadoff single. Just the second Twins hit on the night.
Good swing by Justin, staying in there on this breaking ball. Watch his front shoulder stay in a long time. Wait on that breaking ball. Line it over Ackley's head. Good swing. Good at bat.
So now Doumit, who has struck out and flied out as a left-handed batter against Iwakuma, now hitting from the right side. Popped up, foul, and out of play. Foul back, 2 strikes. You know, a lineup that's going good. The Twins lineup clearly is not. You get to 5th inning, it's 5-1, and you're playing at home. You figure no problem. Your guys in 87 wouldn't let, especially at home, an early 4-run deficit chip away from the confidence they were going to win the game.
And there were a few 4-run deficits early in the game.
But you know, this Twins lineup has been put in the deep freeze by some really good pitching staffs, and until you snap out of it, you know, these at bats are tough. Doumit almost looks like he's swinging just to make contact. 2 strikes. A little fly ball to short center, and Gutierrez still running in, makes the catch, 1 away. Twins hitting coach Joe Vavra's son Tanner's a baseball star at Valparaiso University, but he is blind in one eye. Read his inspirational story by Tyler Mason at FoxSportsNorth.com. Doumit retired. That'll bring up Trevor Plouffe, and it'll bring to the mound Eric Wedge, who looks like he's going to make a pitching change. So Perez gets 1 out, gives up a base hit. And a pitching change with the Mariners up by 4. front. Perez got one out in the 7th. For Sanford Health injury report surrounding Mark Teixeira. The Yankees don't know, frankly, at this point, how long they'll be without him. It might be a few days. It might be a week. It might be 2 weeks. Teixeira wasn't having the best of seasons anyway, but he was still in the middle of that Yankee lineup. And so the Yankees will miss their switch hitting first baseman. Josh Kinney comes into the ball game, and he'll face Trevor Plouffe.
Interesting move by Eric Wedge. He brought in a left-hander to pitch specifically to 2 hitters, Justin Morneau, the left-hander, and Ryan Doumit, who has not been as good this season right-handed against left-handed pitching as he has been left-handed. And then with right-handers coming up, going right back to a right-hander. So even in the 7th inning with a 4-run lead, Eric Wedge managing his bullpen to get matchups that he wants against each part of the Twins lineup here in the 7th.
Plouffe 0 for 2. And strike 1. For several weeks in June, Plouffe knocked the cover off the ball, likes of which Charlie Furbich warming up we haven't seen around here in a long, long time. But then there have been long droughts, and he's going through one of those now in and around a stint on the disabled list. If Trevor Plouffe next year gets 550 at bats, what kind of numbers do you think Twins fans can expect from him?
I think with the way that he has hit this year, it's almost impossible to have an opinion about that. I mean, to really know with any certainty who the real Trevor Plouffe is yet.
2 down as he tries to check his swing, and it's strike 3.
Clearly, he has the ability to be a major league hitter and a significant contributor to run production in a lineup. Out in front of a badly of a breaking ball. I'm concerned about getting beat on the fastball, and I swing at the first thing I see, and it's 10 miles an hour slower than I thought it was going to be.
Here's Carroll. Strike over the inside corner.
What Trevor has shown this year is that he had hitting mechanics issues that he had to fix when he was first up here. He worked very hard with hitting coach Joe Vavra, seemed to fix a lot of that to the point where he was very effective on certain kinds of pitches in certain kinds of situations. And he has the ability on those pitches in those situations to hit the ball in the seats. The ball coming off his bat when he squares it up comes off high in the air and deep. But what he's also shown is that he's not all the way there with some of the mechanical issues that Joe's working with him on, and he's been unable to get it to the point where he can have consistent at bats where he's squaring up the ball. So it's really hard to say. I think he's going to get there. He has too much talent. I think he's going to get there, but I don't think it's a done deal yet. I think he's going to be a work in progress through next year, and we're going to see. I would bet similar kinds of streaks next year, and hopefully what there'll be is the bad streaks will be a little more short-circuited and he'll get it back sooner.
1-2 to Carroll, and a chopper to short. Twins get a leadoff single, but the Twins don't score in the 7th and trail by 4. concerning a very important announcement involving Target Field and Major League Baseball. And I think by the end of the press conference, it'll probably be acknowledged as one of the worst kept secrets in baseball, but officially no announcement has been made. That will come at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
And I will be there for that. In the meantime, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Minnesota Twins, LLC.
8th inning now. And Kyle Waldrop comes in relief of Scott Diamond, who pitched 7 innings and gave up 5 earned runs. Montero, Smoke, and Olivo. They were a combined 0 for 9 against Scott Diamond. The damage was done by the first 3 and last 2 hitters against Scott Diamond tonight. Oakland shut out Cleveland 7-0. Baltimore shut out Chicago 6-0. Justin Verlander was handed an early 3-0 lead. The Royals lead the Tigers 8-6 in the 7th. And the Yankees beat Toronto 2-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Montero with 3 ground ball outs. Handle of the bat right back to Waldrop, 1 away. Rasmussen College is proud to present Student Days every Wednesday at Target Field. Students can attend tomorrow's Mariners game at 7:10. Get a standing room only ticket for just $8. Student Day tickets are available beginning at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And there's a limit of 1 ticket per student with a valid ID. For more information, visit twinsbaseball.com or call 800-33-TWINS. Smoke is 0 for 3. He lined out to Mastroianni his last time up. Outside a ball. On the outside corner. Waldrop can't get this one. Carroll can. 2 down.
We're seeing evidence here, these first 2 hitters that Waldrop has pitched to. What makes him an intriguing pitching style, and I know that pitching coach Rick Anderson and manager Ron Gardner must look at this guy and say, this guy should have a real chance to be successful as a reliever in the big leagues, because he's tall and throws over the top with his delivery, and yet the ball sinks, and that's an interesting combination. See, he throws over the top like that, but he has pretty good sink on the ball, as evidenced by the 2 ground balls, very weak ground balls that he's gotten against the first 2 hitters. And so again, another possibly a work in progress, but intriguing type of style. It ought to be the kind of guy that could come in and give you some real good innings, get a ground ball when you need one. He's a little deceptive to hitters just because of that delivery.
One and one to Olivo. Again, you can see the movement, that ball diving down and in, and Olivo did all he could just to make contact.
And the ball diving down and in is one thing from a sinker ball pitcher that throws a little from the side. You're used to that, you're used to that, but you're not used to a guy, big tall guy, throwing straight over the top and have that ball come down. That's nice action on the breaking ball too.
2-2.
You can see him come right over the top, spin that thing off of his middle finger. Good breaking ball, really good location.
And Olivo sends one down the left field corner, and he'll be held to a single on a quick retrieve by Willingham. A 2-out single for Olivo will get Thames to the plate.
But like any other sinker ball pitcher, over the top delivery or not, if you throw it belt high in the middle of the plate, the sinkers don't sink so much. No, that was a hanging breaking ball there.
Nowhere near Mauer's target. So Thames, who hit the late home run for the only run of the game last night, 0 for 3 in the ball game so far tonight. 3 outfield flies. Ball 1. And a strike that covers the inside corner. You can look at the Twins bullpen, at least I can. I think Terry Ryan can. And you can look at the current guys out there. And, you know, some guys have to be re-signed and all that, but you could formulate, I think, a bullpen that you could move forward with in 2013. You could go, okay, I want Perkins, I want Burton, I want Burnett. Maybe you say I want Dunsing out there. Fiend has done well. Waldrop, you could, I think, already imagine what next year's bullpen looks like. It's the starting rotation that has so many question marks.
Very strong bullpen nucleus, no question about it.
Welcome back to downtown Minneapolis here at Target Field. The Twins are down 4. Coming to bat in the 8th. Stay with us immediately following the game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. Another Mariner gem on the mound following King Felix Iwakuma. Just as tough on Minnesota tonight. We'll take you inside the clubhouse and hear from Ron Gardenhire what he thought of his pitcher Scott Diamond's performance and what the Twins are looking to do as the series progresses. It's a 4-game series, and you won't want to miss our instructional. Make sure to stay tuned as a couple of former professional baseball players take you onto the field here at Target Field and teach you infield mechanics from the left side. Now, if anybody knows about left side infield mechanics, it's got to be a former third baseman in Ron Coomer and a former shortstop in Roy Smalley. If you're a young baseball player looking to improve, these two guys will set you up.
Left side infield mechanics.
Yeah, that's a made-up term that I don't quite understand what he was trying to describe.
Want to know the Florimone. I mean, it's like, well, if you couldn't play, it could be a Twitter question. If you couldn't play on the left side of the infield, what would you do with your career? I'd be a mechanic.
Well, in fairness, there's
a bouncer to third. Left side of the infield getting a shot here with Seager firing it across. Florimone retired.
If you don't have good infield, left side of the infield mechanics, you might have ended up being a mechanic. We're going to talk about some getting ready to play to field a ball at third. some of the plays that happen and third baseman has to deal with, and Ron Kuma will talk about, and how some of it is similar, but a lot of it is quite a bit different out there, just not too far over his left shoulder at shortstop.
Here's Revere. 0 for 1, a walk and a sacrifice fly. And a strike. It speaks to Revere's ability to avoid long slumps because of his speed, but he really hasn't been hitting the ball nearly as well as he did in July. That's a strikeout. This is going to be a close play. Oh, what a play by Olivo, and a nice stretch into foul territory by Smoke. Revere strikes out for the second out of the inning. An off-balance throw with enough on it to just barely get Ben Revere.
Ball gets away, he has to find it. Olivo makes a terrific throw on the run. Just nips a very speedy Ben Revere. And a nice play by Smoke, too, to catch it off of his helmet.
Just under 30,000 the paid attendance tonight, 29,854. Haven't had much to cheer about again tonight. Mastroianni, the hitter, has walked and bounced out to short twice. One and one. And a breaking ball over the inside corner. 1 and 2. Slow roller to short. Ryan scoops and fires, and Mastroianni retired by a step. And the Twins go down 1-2-3 again. Frustrating night for Ron Gardenhire and the Twins. They've not done much offensively. There's the Farmers Insurance report card. Scott Diamond, 5 earned runs, 7 innings pitched. Obviously not great, but the Twins have done nothing at the plate tonight.
Absolutely nothing. And they've really looked confused against most every pitcher that Seattle's run out there. Of the 3 of them, Kuma, the starter, really had them deceived. Not good at bats by the Twins tonight.
Here's Robinson. I thought about that on the drive home last night. You know, the lineup obviously has struggled, particularly the last couple of weeks. But in last night's game, Morneau gets the leadoff triple, and then the three, maybe the worst three consecutive at bats the way it turned out. 4 pitches later, 3 ground ball outs later, and the Twins were in the dugout. Here's a sharp single to center.
You know, and a lot of that, that was obviously a turning point in the game, and a lot of that has to do with how good King Felix is. I mean, he's terrific, and the way. But what was so interesting, Ron Gardner said before that game. So last night, Justin Morneau gets a cutter in the middle of the plate. Felix thought that he had hit the ball out, but then he comes in, gets Doman on a ground ball, Plouffe on a pretty hard hit ball, but right at somebody, and then Jamie Carroll on a weak ground ball to short. And what was really interesting about that, I thought, was what Ron Gardenhire said before the game, that
Alex Burnett in the game, and on the very first pitch, Robinson steals second easily.
Just to finish the thought about King Felix Hernandez, as we look at the steal, just a great jump, no chance, absolutely no chance. That was, even if that ball's thrown right on the number, it was on Burnett's move. He got a great jump off the first move, and then Burnett continued to be relatively slow to the plate. So Joe had no chance on that. But Hernandez last night was throwing almost all fastballs and mix in occasional breaking ball all game until he got in trouble there.
Right.
And then everybody got breaking balls. He didn't even think about a fastball. And Gardy was saying before the game, he's able to make adjustments during the game, figure out what he thinks hitters are looking for, and go the other direction, and then do it with really good stuff, which is what we saw. We saw 3 terrific breaking balls to get those 3 hitters out, and they weren't the best of at bats, but I'll tell you what, it was pretty good pitching by that guy.
Popped up near the mound. Morneau comes in to put it away. Another thing I think we saw last night was the 2012 American League Cy Young Award winner.
Well, he is for me.
One down. Robinson still at second, and here's Ackley. When you look at the competition that he would have, he is getting stronger and better as the season wears along. Justin Verlander with a disappointing start tonight. Chris Sale with a disappointing start tonight. Jared Weaver had a clinker a couple of starts ago. And this guy just keeps getting better and better for a team that's out of contention.
Look at that, 184 strikeouts and 46 walks in 190 some innings. I think I saw it there. 2.4 ERA or whatever that was. I mean, he just goes out and shuts the opposing hitters down game after game.
1-0 to Dustin Ackley. Foul back, 1-1. I don't know who else to throw in the Cy Young conversation. Don't want to leave anybody out.
Well, Jared Weaver's having a good year, but as has Verlander and Sale, but not like this man right here.
David Price has pitched awfully well, tied for the league lead in wins with 16. Up and away. We were in Texas. Matt Harrison was given a vote of Cy Young confidence, if you will, from his manager, Ron Washington. Two and one to Ackley. And a foul into the seats, 2-2.
There are some very, very good starting pitchers in the American League right now, well, and throughout baseball for that matter.
Right.
I mean, very, very good. I just think watching Felix Hernandez pitch on a team that doesn't get him any runs, and up until this year, arguably, he hadn't played that well defensively behind him. I just think what he takes out there game in, game out is the best in the league.
foul back in 2009. He won 19 games. 2010 he only won 13, but he was the league MVP that year, or the Cy Young Award winner that year. 2-2. Burnett trying to pitch around the single and stolen base. And a strikeout. There needs to be a throw. And Robinson stays at second base. 2 down.
Good breaking ball by Burnett. Good block by Joe. Blocks it so that it lands softly in front of him. He's able to bounce up and throw him out.
The thing that makes Hernandez such a great fit in Seattle is he wants to stay there.
Yeah. The Seattle fans just love him for it.
Now, that's easy to say. There was a time when Johan Santana wanted to stay here, too. Then he won a couple of Cy Young Awards, and it became apparent that as free agency approached, the Twins wouldn't. They were able to sign Santana to one extension, one big deal, but when that second one came around, he was out of Minnesota's price range. And kind of hope that doesn't happen to King Felix in Seattle. That's a great way to keep that team credible and interesting. Plus, they're in the other division. We'd only have to face them a couple times a year. 1-1.
As far as the Twins hitters are concerned, if the Dodgers want to pay him a bunch of money, they ought to go ahead and do that.
And Verlander can go with them. Well, the challenge is the Twins need to try to find somebody like that, develop someone like that. And I mean, here we are. The rotation this year, as it's presently constructed, coming into this year, with 441 1/3 major league innings. Of those, Brian Dunsing has thrown 376 1/3. I mean, you know, it's a very inexperienced rotation right now. Cole DeVries had not thrown a major league inning before this year. 1-2 to Gutierrez, and a strikeout. Burnett pitches around the leadoff walk and stolen base. Twins will hope to get something going in the bottom of the ninth, starting with Joe Mauer. Kyle Seager's 2-run double in the third, and Dustin Ackley's 3-run home run in the 5th inning. So Jimmy John's delivery of the game again going to the Seattle starting pitcher.
And they're catching the Twins with not their best offensive performance here of late, but the two guys that Mariners have run out there, King Felix Hernandez and Iwakuma, have pitched very, very well.
So now Charlie Furbush will come into the game to pitch to Mauer, Willingham, and Morneau.
Watching Hernandez pitch last night, Dick, reminded me of a great line about Sandy Koufax when he was in the height of his career. Someone said, well, Sandy Koufax is the luckiest pitcher there is in the league. Every time he pitches, the other team's in the swamp.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if the Twins can get something going here. Non-save situation. That's why Furbish is getting the call. Hijinks in the Seattle dugout. They've had fun in the second half, and it's great to see because they really struggled in the first half again this year. They cleared the air when they traded Ichiro Suzuki. They got a bunch of young guys kind of all facing in the right direction. And they've got a great young pitching staff. Here's Mauer. And a first pitch strike. Twins have been held tonight to 2 singles, 4 walks, and a hit batter. Mauer has fouled out, struck out, and hit into a double play. Inside, 1-1. Tapper to the right side. Easy play for Ackley, 1 down. And he'll bring up Josh Willingham. Well, the Mariners playing like a team that hopes they can continue the second half success into a full season next year.
Well, that stat right there, 15-0 against teams under 500. That's what you do to finish in the first division. You beat the teams that you figure if you're a good team you should beat. That's a good performance right there by an up-and-coming team. They need to find some offense. They need to find as a pitching staff would have a stopper like Felix Hernandez. They need to have some real thumpers right in the middle of that lineup to, I think, become a real great ball club. But you know, it's hard to find pitching, as we know here in Minnesota, and they've got the nucleus of a really nice pitching staff already.
1-1 to Willingham, hit by a pitch in the second, fly ball to right in the fourth, and a strikeout in the sixth. And Furbish again tries to bend that breaking ball over the outside corner. He's hit it once, missed it twice. And now missing with a fastball. Laced to left, just out of the reach of Ryan. Well, that's a sound we haven't heard much, if at all, over the last 2 nights. That ball hit hard.
That's the sound of a big league hitter squaring one up right there. You can hear that explosion all the way up here. I love that sound.
Gets your attention after, you know, what we've seen for 8 1/3 innings here, where Twins just hitting one ground ball after another. Here's Morneau. He's singled to right his last time up. One of the 3 Twins hits, and again, they've all been singles. Fastball over for a strike. Texas beat Tampa Bay 1-0 in Arlington. Yu Darvish against James Shields. A little bit low. 2-1.
There were some bad at bats down there in that game too. Those two guys are two more pitchers that can make you look pretty silly.
And a fastball for a strike, 2-2. Justin has only walked this year 33 times. 6 of those have been intentional walks. And he strikes out here for round number 2. Well, that'll bring up Ryan Doumit as the last hope for the Twins. Morneau now striking out for the 75th time. Probably not going to strike out 100 times this year. He never has in his major league career. Inside to Doumit. And that's something that when you think of the power hitter he has been, that's pretty remarkable to have a power hitter these days that has not struck out 100 times. 1-0 to Doumit. Trying to keep the game alive for Trevor Plouffe in the on-deck circle, and a strike. Willingham takes off. The pitch taken for a ball, 2-1. They weren't holding him at first base, so Willingham will advance on defensive indifference. Three and one with Plouffe on deck. Down the line, a fair ball into the corner. Willingham will score. Doumit to second base, and he's in with a double. Well, with 2 out, Doumit drives in his 60th run of the year. And that'll bring up Plouffe. And now, because he's reached base, it is a save situation for Tom Wilhelmsen. So Furbish gives up a single and a double in the 9th. The game's still alive for the Twins. Trevor Plouffe will hit against the Mariner closer Tom Wilhelmsen when we come back. this a safe situation, and it prompts a pitching change for the Mariners, and Wilhelmsen will get a chance to pick up the save.
Another power arm for the Seattle Mariners staff. See good numbers, 2.66 ERA, a good strikeout to walk ratio, or an okay strikeout to walk ratio for a closer, to be an elite closer. Part of his issue has been a little bit of touch of wildness.
Bloof takes low, ball one.
If he is going to have an issue, it's that he doesn't really attack the strike zone with every pitch, but he's got a great arm. Closer kind of stuff, there's no question about that.
Up high now, 2-0. Carroll in the on-deck circle. The Twins bench, since Span was scratched, consists of Casilla and Butera, so there isn't a power hitter available for Ron Gardenhire to pinch hit for Carroll. 3-0, and Carroll may have a chance here. Olivo will go to the mound.
This is the issue that I was alluding to with Wilhelmsen. He's, like I say, 95 to 98 miles an hour on the fastball, but he'll run into streaks like this where he can't throw it over. It causes your pitching coach, Carl Willis, to scratch his head.
Bloof will be taking here, and a strike. Three and one. And Bloof will take a walk. And the tying run comes to the plate.
Yeah, pretty good pitch. When you throw it 96 down there, it doesn't sink too much. It held his trajectory pretty well, but the plate umpire decided it was a little low.
Well, let's not play the probability game, but let's play the possibility game. Carroll hasn't homered since 2009. Down and away, ball one. He had two of them for the Indians that year. He has a dozen major league home runs in over 3,000 at bats. But if he were to hit a home run here, it would tie the game.
Well, I will tell you that Jamie Carroll will be trying to, when he finally decides to swing, and he'll probably take a strike here. He's very, very good at working counts. An enormous number of walks for a guy that's either hit second in front of Joe Mauer or ninth in the order. That shows an awful lot of plate discipline. So I don't expect Jamie to be swinging at bad balls. I expect him to make Wilhelmsen throw the ball in the middle of the plate. He'll be trying to line the ball to center or right center like he always does.
Doman at second. He delivered a two-out double. Bloof walked, and now it's 1-0 to Carroll. Trying to keep the game alive for Florimon. There's a strike. And that's really, as the Twins are working through the bottom of their order, that's what Carroll's job here is to, as they say, keep the line moving. Get Florimon up with a chance.
Yep.
By any means necessary. 1-1. That's to right field. And it ends the game. Pretty well hit ball. And the Mariners have won the first two games here in Minnesota. Twins putting together more offense in the ninth inning than they did in the first 8, but not enough. Anthony LaPanta, the Twins' road struggles continue here at home.
And their struggles against Seattle continue. They've now lost 7 in a row against the Mariners and have scored only 10 runs total in the process. We'll show you how another Mariner pitcher took apart the Minnesota lineup. Hear from Ron Gardenhire and preview the rest of the series next on Twins Live.